Hi there, welcome to episode 7 of my pelvic health mini-series. So far during the series, we've talked about the pelvic floor. We've looked at its normal function, we've looked at its role in bladder function, bowel function. We've talked about how pregnancy and birth affect the pelvic floor. We've looked at ways to activate the pelvic floor and start to learn to develop a connection with this area of our body. And I've also given you a little pelvic floor workout that you can try as well. Today, I want to look at the pelvic floor and its role in our sex life. So we've mentioned before that issues with our pelvic floor are often a little bit embarrassing, and sometimes we won't address them for that reason. We won't go and see the doctor about urinary incontinence or fecal incontinence, which is just so sad, but is very true. And also we've got this issue with the media making out that having issues with your bladder function after having kids is normal, and it's not normal at all. So if you think of this about embarrassment with urinary incontinence or fecal incontinence, for a lot of women and men, they don't want to trouble our GPs with issues with our sex life. So the aim of today is to change that. It's important to note that I am not a doctor, I am not a physiotherapist, I'm a personal trainer with a huge passion for pre and postnatal women, but just for the body generally, and I kind of approach fitness now with a sort of holistic approach. I try and look at all areas of life and how that affects our health and fitness. And sex life is important, so let's have a look at it today. So how's the pelvic floor involved in our sex life? So really important for both men and women. So talking about women first of all. So during penetration, the pelvic floor's role is to keep our other pelvic organs in, so that during penetration of the penis, that is then comfortable. If we have got a good connection and an understanding of this area of our body, and we know how to fire our pelvic floor muscles, it can really improve sensation of sex for us. And also during orgasm, it's the pelvic floor that rapidly contracts. So if we've got a good, healthy pelvic floor function, we're more likely to find pleasure through penetrative sex. And then when we orgasm, we can have a better orgasm if those muscles are firing effectively. So that's women. For men, the pelvic floor is really important for the maintenance of an erection. It helps to keep things up, ensures that good blood flow to that area of the body. And also the pelvic floor will be used for different movements of the penis as well. So really important, healthy pelvic floor function for both men and women for a decent sex life. Okay, so what can go wrong? So again, we'll talk about women first of all. I'm going to do a whole episode about men, but we will talk about it a little bit today as well. So for women, we've mentioned that issues with the pelvic floor are not necessarily always associated with pregnancy and birth. We know there's other factors there. So obesity, there could be injury or trauma, lots of things that can affect our pelvic floor function. And that's the same for men as well. Obviously no birth or pregnancy for men, but if they've had any trauma, surgery, that kind of thing can affect their pelvic floor function. And just aging as well. Our muscles age, we need to activate them to keep them healthy and strong. So for women, we can either have a pelvic floor that is weak, and we've talked about the symptoms that we see, but we've also talked about hypertonic pelvic floors where everything is too tight, okay? So tight doesn't mean good. We want strong and effective, not tight, okay? So with regards to issues with our sex life, if we've got a weak pelvic floor, that can cause problems during sex, urinary leakage, that kind of thing can be embarrassing, inability to hold in flatulence, that kind of thing can affect our confidence sexually, but also our sensation. So if things are weak in there, we might not be able to activate the pelvic floor to get that pleasure that we're looking for during sex. And again, orgasm can be difficult to achieve, and if we do reach orgasm, that contraction of the pelvic floor might be as strong as we would like it to be. Also, if we've got any pelvic organ prolapse, vaginal, bowel or bladder, that can cause pain during sex when we've got that penetrative element and everything's not quite where it should be inside. So it's important to note here that if we experience any pain during sex, that doesn't need to be put up with. And I think so many women do just put up with pain during sex. So there can be a whole host of different reasons for pain during sex, and I can't possibly go through all of them now. But I'm hoping by watching this video, you'll consider whether maybe the pelvic floor might be something that could be contributing it to you, or it could be something else, and then hopefully just give you the confidence to go and speak to your GP to start looking into what could be causing the problem. So we've got weakness there, and then if we've got a hypertonic pelvic floor, a tight pelvic floor, that can cause pain as well, because during penetration we need everything to sort of be relaxed. Everything is really tight. That can make penetration really uncomfortable, and we can still see urinary leakage and things with a pelvic floor that is too tight. So you might want to go back to some of my previous videos where I talk about that a little bit more if you think that that might be you. In doing research for this video, I learnt about something called vaginismus, which is something I'd heard about but didn't really know what it was, and it sounds absolutely horrific. So if you're watching this and vaginismus is a condition that you have or think you might have, I really do feel for you. So vaginismus is a pelvic floor issue. Everything is super tight, particularly during penetration. So not just during sex, but even insertion of a tampon can be excruciating and almost impossible. So what I've read about vaginismus is that it is something that can be treated, but we need to look at what might be the underlying reason for that issue. It can be psychological, it can be physical. So if it's you, please don't put up with it. We need to get this addressed for you. It might be through counselling, it might be involving a physiotherapist, whatever it is, please get some support if that's you. Okay, so that's women, the issues we might see during sex. For men, if their pelvic floor is weak or overactive, we can see problems too. So it can be getting an erection in the first place if the pelvic floor muscles are not strong enough. It could be maintaining an erection. And also if we've got a really tight pelvic floor, which we can see in men post-surgery and things, there's not a good enough blood flow to the penis, which can then affect their ability to maintain an erection as well. So we can both experience problems sexually as a result of dysfunction of the pelvic floor. So as I say, this whole series is to raise awareness, encourage discussion, and to give you the confidence to talk about these symptoms with your GP. If we do discover that it is a pelvic floor issue, I've mentioned it lots of times before, that a physiotherapist might be the person to help you to develop a really good connection with your pelvic floor, learn how to activate it, learn how to release it fully, because we know that that's really important as well. And then hopefully get you on the road to recovery with your pelvic floor issues. So don't put up and shut up. If this has highlighted a potential issue for you, get that support. Our sexual health is really, really important. Some more so than others, but sex is a big part of our life, a big part of our relationships. And if I'm talking to a woman here and you are biting the pillow in pain during sex, gosh, that's not how you should be living your life. So get some help. Yeah, That's it. Pelvic floor and our sex life. If you've got any questions, drop me a message. If I can help, I will. It might be that I point you elsewhere for support. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment, check out the other episodes in the series, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.